Hey guys, how are we? Well, you can see the Pattaya sign in the background there, and I'm on Pattaya Beach. Beautiful Pattaya Beach. Well, it's really not as good as the beaches on the Gold Coast, I have to admit. Gold Coast in Australia is just some of the best beaches in the world, but it's still very, very good. It's better than the beaches in Greece. I haven't seen a good beach in Greece yet, so anyhow, I'm not putting Greece down, it's just a different experience. Particularly if you get into the Greek islands, absolutely sublime, absolutely beautiful this time of year. There are few places in the world that will rival the Greek islands at this time. So really, really strongly advise that if you get the opportunity to do that a couple of times in your life or make it a regular event. Yeah, the Greek islands are absolutely fantastic. But Thailand's still good too. It's just really, really hot here today. Very humid and very overcast. I don't know if you can see that, but we've had some big storms in the last couple of days. And well, anyway, they really know how to put on a light show. Anyway, I've been really busy the last couple of weeks working with a mate of mine here, and we're producing something really cool. So anyway, stay tuned for that. But I haven't had a huge opportunity to get in touch with everyone. I know there's a few people that have sent me messages on Messenger and email and all this sort of stuff, and I just have not had an opportunity to respond just yet. So I will do that as soon as I can. But we're having a great time here, and it's been good. My wife headed back to Korea last Sunday. We enjoyed the weekend in Bangkok, which was good, and I tell you what, it's just a completely different atmosphere in Bangkok, and I really couldn't wait to get back to Pattaya because Bangkok's really sort of cutthroat, very high pace, and you know, heaps of shopping opportunities and all that sort of stuff, but I think we found cheaper stuff in Pattaya and other parts of Thailand. So yeah, anyway, that's just my musings after Bangkok. But still very good. It's an experience and a half. So, but anyway, my wife's now in Korea working away, which I don't think she enjoys, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see how long that lasts. But let me just say this. So we've had problems getting money out of Binance for the last 4 weeks. And in the previous video, I think I told everyone, if you are exposed to Chinese companies, be very, very cautious, because there looks like there are major liquidity problems in China. And this is something that I went back, I think at the end of last year I was talking about it. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening now that I talked about at the end of last year. So if you are wanting to stay ahead of the curve, like and subscribe to this channel, because I will give you as much input as I can, because I just want to basically save people a lot of pain and a lot of heartache and misery. We're going through very tumultuous times at this point. And look, we don't know the time frame. I'm convinced that there's going to be a financial event between now and the end of November, or there's going to be a geopolitical event between now and the end of November that will cause a financial and economic event. So just be mindful of that. We're heading into it at the moment, and you really do not want to be exposed to these things, because look, it's very easy to lose your life savings. Very, very easy to find yourself in a very, very difficult situation. Just think about what it was like being in lockdowns in Australia. I mean, it took me 5 attempts to be able to leave the country last time I was there. I had to apply 5 times, which is absolutely ridiculous. And you know, in Australia, they've got food shortages. They've got shortages with eggs, shortages with poultry, shortages with beef, shortages with fruit and vegetable, shortages with toilet paper, shortages, and the list just goes on and on. And then you hear the Labor Party in Australia last week, they say, oh, we want to increase immigration into Australia up to 192,000 people, next year. I just sit there and think, where are these people going? They've got a housing shortage in Australia. It's just madness, absolute madness. They're not going to be able to feed those people, let alone give them a house, and they want to bring them in. It's just absolute insanity. But let me tell you this, I don't think we'll get to mid next year without seeing a major geopolitical and economic and financial crisis. I'd be very, very surprised if we do. That's not going to happen. People are not going to move during that time. And if you are in Australia and you want to get out, or you're in the US and you want to get out, or you're in another part of the world and you want to get out of there and you've been putting it off ad infinitum, you're always waiting for the right opportunity, then get out now. There's never been a better time, because you don't know what's laying up ahead. And from all of the geopolitical and financial and economic data that we're seeing at the moment, nothing looks good. I mean, as I said to somebody yesterday, I met this guy who is from the US, and he's here hunting down criminals who stole money from the US government. And they're forcibly, literally grabbing these guys. I would call it kidnapping. But anyway, they are apprehending these people and sticking them on military jets and sending them back to the US to prosecute them. Very, very serious stuff. And if you have done the wrong thing by the US government, I tell you what, you want to be very, very cautious. But anyway, as I said to this guy yesterday, every time I look at the news, I'm just looking for one positive article, one bit of good news, something that I sit there and go, well, that's positive. I don't see it any day. It just goes from bad to worse every single day. And, you hate to be negative. You hate to sort of be a doomsayer. But at the end of the day, what are you meant to assume from this? We're really in a situation where you look at the financial data, you're in real trouble. Okay, so let me give you a few examples of situations. So a friend sent me an article yesterday which basically said, hey, look, the biggest copper producer in China is asking for a bailout, and BHP and another copper miner from South America are refusing to ship any more copper to them to refine. So that's one. So even the government over there is refusing to bail them out, from what I understand. But nobody is going to give them any more copper. So BHP will be sitting there saying, right, we've got to cut our losses here. What else is there? So you've got people in Germany that are basically going through the woods trying to hunt for wood so that they can put it in a stockpile to keep themselves warm during the winter. You've got people in Poland lining up for kilometers for coal, to get coal out of a coal mine to keep themselves warm over the winter. You've got all of these ridiculous things. And so what's actually happening here, I'm convinced we've gone through 20, 30 years of globalization where we shifted a lot of our production in the West to countries like China, Mexico, India. And we've basically moved our economies from a primary and secondary to tertiary, which is basically a service or interest-based or rent-seeking based economy. But now that you see economies like China and India struggling, well, you're going to see a contagion spread across the West. And, these woke individuals and woke government leaders that have been pushing the Green New Deal, I mean, even in Sydney, they're talking about outlawing all non-battery or electricity-powered cars by 2035, I think it is. So at the end of the day, you've got these woke individuals that are trying to push this woke green agenda, and it's backfiring because the baseload energy is not there in green or renewable energy yet. And you know, you've got major problems with supply chains in regards to delivering the electricity to charge these vehicles. So you've got countries, even like Australia, they've had to ration electricity because they don't have enough electricity in their grid. So how is this all going to work out? That's the real question. So I think what we're going to see now is actually, and this is my hit prediction, and if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel while I'm at it, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll keep you up to date on everything. So we're going to head into an era where we see very conservative voting. We're going to see a backlash against this sort of woke, liberal, green agenda. You're going to see a rise of nationalism, and then you're going to see a rise of nationalistic leaders, and then you will see persecution of minority groups. And that's going to happen in the West. And as much as I think Charles Schwab and all of his little buddy boys there, and he's got his, you know, his World Economic Forum, his Davos crowd, and he's got all these buddies around him, and he's having a great time, having a bit of a pipe dream about, you know, the new world, and I won't say the other part of that. And at the end of the day, I think this is just going to be an absolute fight. This is going to be the middle class rising up to destroy a few dreams. And I think that's what we're on the cusp of at the moment, because as Gerard Celente says, when the common man loses everything, he loses it because he's got nothing else to lose. And I think at the moment you have, you know, some of these powers that be, they're being protected by the apparatus that they've put in position. You know, I'm talking about the police and the military and the intelligence, but what happens when they actually turn on them? What happens when their families and their friends start dying off and are killed or starved to death? That's the real question, because what you have is a real desire for ideology. Okay, so ideology will carry over some of these woke agendas. So people who are into, the Green New Deal and renewables and save the planet and save the polar bears and save the whales, and when reality hits and they start starving to death, those ideals quickly go out the window. And that's what you're seeing in Poland with people going into coal mines and harvesting coal, and in Germany with people going into forests to burn firewood. So those ideologies don't last very long in those situations. That's what's coming. So when people start starving to death and they turn around and they look at the government and they say, hey, hold on a minute, your policies actually affected us. We're starving because of your policies, or we're freezing because of your policies. That's when you're going to have a massive, massive backlash. The only way that I see this being countered is by a massive event. Like, I'm talking an alien invasion, or World War III with a couple of nukes being dropped. Absolute and utter chaos. That's the only way that this sort of thing is going to be carried through. And at the end of the day, if that's the case, I don't think we're far from it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. As I said, if you haven't moved already, then I strongly suggest that you think about relocating sooner rather than later, because at the end of the day, time is of an essence. I have spoken to a few people recently and they've said, I've been putting it off, and now things are getting really difficult, they're starting to go, I think I've got to make a move right now. So you don't want to be caught in a situation where you're in food shortages or water shortages or electricity blackouts, and then you go, oh, I think I better move now. And then all of a sudden there's no flights, or there's no boats, or there's no opportunity to get out. You don't want to be in that position. Anyway, just thought I would strike that warning. But if you are exposed to Chinese banks, Chinese companies and Chinese exchanges, I strongly suggest that you reconsider your position and remedy that as soon as possible. I'm just trying to help you out and save you all the heartache and pain. So, all right guys, I'm going to leave that there. As I said, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join us on the Overseas Exile Facebook group and join the discussion. And I will endeavour to get in touch with all those people that have sent me messages, either emails or messengers, and I'll get in touch with you really soon. So it's just been really busy. But anyway, thanks guys for watching, and I'll chat with you soon.